I have a favourite series of books, and my favourite series of books is the Patrick O'Brien.
Oh, I love Master and Commander.
Master and Commander, the Aubrey and Turin.
I adore it.
And I love them for the depth of detail and the smell of the bilge water and the rat lines and the rigging and the septicemia and the gangrenous wound. Sorry, is anyone eating?
Enough of the gangrenous wounds, please. They're eating.
I love that, but I go back to it for Aubrey and Maturin. Their meeting is my favourite thing that I've ever read. And I guess it's a responsibility and a joy to create a character that lasts. I think it was 20 novels.
Yeah, 21. It's the last one, Golden Admiral.
Do you feel that? A sense of responsibility when you build a character? I
didn't build her. She walked into my life. When she walked into my life. No, really, I mean, I knew what I was going to endow her with. I wanted a hero like Mrs. Peel, capable of kicking the delicate parts of anyone who gave her any trouble, who would be then picking their teeth out of their hat. But I wanted someone with style. I wanted someone with ferocity and passion. And I knew what I wanted her to be like, and I was endowing her with money and position so that no one could ever overawe her. And I really didn't know what was going to happen with her. I didn't know what her name was, and she didn't turn into a character like most of my characters until she had a name. So I thought, all right, previous comments on Greek, yes, Herodotus' histories translated by Aubrey de Selincourt, I once read most of sitting on the floor of the op shop in Footscray, where I used to be able to go every Saturday, and Mrs. Clary, God bless her heart, used to let me read all the books I could read, gobble, 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 eat lunch, and then I'd have to buy one at the end, and I only had 10 cents pocket money, so it was one book. But she'd let me bring back the ones I didn't want. The trouble is I never actually had any that I didn't want. So, but when I found Herodotus' histories by Aubrey de Selincourt, I went, grab, you can't have it back, it's mine. And I've still got it. I used it as a guide to Egypt. Egypt is a gift of the Nile, says Herodotus. Yeah, it still is. So in Herodotus there's a story of a Hutterer, because I was thinking I wanted a Greek name. I like Greek names, but all the Greek names I could think of were too respectable. Irene, goddess of peace. Have you ever known an Irene who wasn't dead stroppy? I mean, put it to yourself.
Here, like to...
Yep, put it to yourself. It's something about being called after the goddess of peace does things to a woman. It tries her patience. Anyway, Iris is the nymph of the rainbow. Iris. Most of them. Psyche was a perfectly good nymph until she chased Eros over half the world. It's not the kind of thing I wanted. In Herodotus is a lady called Phryne, which in ancient Greek sounds Phryne. Do I have Greek speakers? Yeah, pardon my Peloponnesos accent. Sorry. But she's... Phryne is... her name means little toad, which is the quality of her buttocks, which gives you an idea about ancient Greeks. They're wobbly in a delightful way, but Phryne is how the English said it, in the same way as they said Iris and Irene, all the long E's. And she was so rich, and she was a rich courtesan, a Hutterer. She wasn't a prostitute. You couldn't buy the Hutterers' company. They were talented, they were painters, they were singers, they were dancers, they were poets. This Phryne was utterly beautiful. She was Apelles' model for Aphrodite Anadomene, rising from the foam. She's win any wet t-shirt competition in the whole of Australia. She's gorgeous. And she retired full of years and bad works to buy a citizenry at Corinth. She was tried, and the reason why I was thinking of her, because I'm a duty solicitor, and I'm always trying to think of another argument. I'll send your client to jail, Miss Greenwood, unless you can think of something to say, and that means louder and funnier. And bow a lot. I have a very elaborate bow, but I bow while I'm trying to think of something, because he can't talk until I stand up again. Anyway, a lot of this is just, as I said, it's people. But Phryne was being charged with, blasphemy, heresy, entering the sea during the Eleusinian Mysteries, which got you stoned to death. And so her lawyer, she was not allowed to speak for herself, of course, this is Greece, her lawyer was saying, all the excuses which I used to run through every Friday at Sunshine. It wasn't us, we weren't there, that didn't work. If it was us and we were there, we didn't do it, and that didn't work. It was us and we were there and we did it, we didn't mean it. It wasn't getting him anywhere. And he finally used the last one. If it was us and we were there and we did it and we meant it, we're sorry. And that didn't work either. And he's trying to think of something. And meanwhile, the most beautiful woman in Greece is going to get stoned to death and it's going to be his fault. So he grabbed hold of her chiton, a garment held on by 2 brooches, pulled it off, leaving her naked before the naturally all-male Vermors, and said, could anyone this beautiful have done anything wrong? And they went, I quit her instantly.
Is that something you'd like to try in Sunshine?
Oh, I'd love to try that down Sunshine Court, but 1, the clients are so much harder to undress, and 2, that wouldn't necessarily be a good idea. Not an argument I think I'd get away with, really. Anyway, yes, so I thought, all right, Phryne she is, and because I needed another name that was going to protect me against the kind of idiot intellectual that says, you've written a detective story, Kerry, why don't you write a real book? And since you're not allowed to hit them with a brick, however tempting, I thought, all right, I'll get a preemptive rave. A preemptive rave is very valuable as a life skill you might use because every time someone attacks you in a way that you know they're going to attack you, like someone who's smoking, someone comes up and says, you know that's going to kill your lungs. Well, of course you know it's going to kill your lungs. So instead of, if you've got someone who says something like that and you know that, you haven't got an answer, you say, are you aware of the genetic evils of chicken stock cubes? And if you say it ferociously enough, they back right off and disappear. I love preemptive raves, so I thought, what am I going to do? I need an intellectual preemptive rave. And as I am a most disgustingly educated autodidact with a very good memory and a good ear for languages, and my grandmother was Welsh, I can talk about Arthurian cycles until anybody wilts and goes away to find a nice cup of coffee somewhere. So I thought, all right, and in French, of course, we have, and French speakers should forgive my awful southern accent, Le Roi Pêchonneur, the Sinner King, is the Fisher King. He's in the Grail Legends. He's terribly important. Then, again, in 1928, which as someone showed me, A Gentleman's Guide to Paris, if you were a lady and wished to acquire suitable male company and learn the tango, among other things, you needed to go to the Rue de la Chat qui Pêche, which is the street of the fishing cat. And you could say that all detectives are fishermen looking for clues. And very blasphemously, you could say that Phryne was a fisher of men. So I thought, okay, Fisher. So I got on the tram. I knew who she was. I knew her name. And after that, her character was instantly apparent. Once she had a name, I have to find a name for someone. The only time you'll ever find the default name Johnson in my books, which is what a book name I put in while I'm thinking of another name, is where Johnson fits the character and they're only there as a walk-in or a telegraph boy or something. Names are terribly important.